Hey everybody, welcome to our 8th tutorial, I believe, in the series Intro to Application Development in the Behavioral Sciences. In the last tutorial, we put together our first element and put it in our content page. In our last tutorial, we just commented out this default label, so I guess before we go any further, we can just highlight all this and just delete that out. And we can delete this comment too. So in the last tutorial, we were customizing this this content page we built here, and generally we do have to customize all of this content, but it can get really large and cumbersome to do all this work in this constructor for the application. So what we're going to do is to organize things and keep them in a place that seems much more logical and predictable. We're going to give it a specific home. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our portable class up here, which is where all the customized code will largely be housed. And we're going to right click on here, and we're going to add something. I'm going to go down to add. I'm going to add a new folder. And we're going to call this pages. We're going to put some structure into our project, so that as things get more complex, we don't have to root through miles and miles and miles of code. And we'll do that by putting things into nice little categories that make them very intuitive to follow. After we have this page folder, we're going to right click on it, and we're going to add something here. We're going to add a new item. Now these are all the types of files that Visual Studio can add. Most of these aren't super relevant to what we want. We want to add a new class. So we could use this one. This one is just an empty type of class that could be anything. But we could take a shortcut and say that we want to create a new Xamarin Forms page here. So we're going to select this, and we're going to go down here to the name, and by default it's calling it page 1. I'm going to go to the 1 and say we'll call this the home page. Once we're satisfied with that, I'm going to hit add. And it just opened it. So if we go into pages, we double click on home, we'll see that this is what it brings up. Now, just like we did in our application constructor, there's a content page put together here, but we don't have to put it together here. We could build a class that contains all the information and customization that we know we want on a home page, and we could do all that somewhere else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of this. I'm going to really quick make that explicit. This var this var term is really just an implicit type of variable type. We do the same by being very explicit. So to make things very clear, we'll just name that. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all of this. We are going to copy all of this content. And we're going to go to this new class we made. It's called homepage. And at the very, maybe at the very bottom, but just before this last close bracket, we're going to add our commenting out region. And everything we put in here is just going to be ignored by Visual Studio. So we're going to paste all of our code here. Just make a little bit of room. So we'll see that this new class we made, homepage, it inherits all of the methods it uses from this content page type, which is what we were using before, because this content variable was really an instance of this content page class. So we're just going to take a shortcut and make our own version of this content page class that's already set up the way we liked it. So if we look at kind of how this app class had a constructor, if you look at the constructor for homepage, it already has some of the stuff that we're used to. It has a content fields, just like our other one. It doesn't have a title, but for the most part, it already has that content. If we wanted to, we could take what's in this content page here and just take all the guts of here and just drop it right in there. Excel doesn't like that format. We're just going to add that semicolon, and we'll fix our tabs. So for the most part, it looks like the structure for this, oops, let's get rid of this extra bracket that we took. All right, what did we do wrong? All right, let's go back. For content, actually, no, let's just drag the inside of the content to be content. This is what you get for copying and pasting. We'll fix up content here, and we'll paste it, and then we'll have to add a semicolon here because it's put together a little different. We'll fix our tabs. Now, Visual Studio is giving us a hint that something doesn't seem right, and it has this underlined under my first label, and it's saying, well, whatever this thing is, this thing named my first label, does not exist here, and that makes sense because if we go back to our original where we wrote that code, we defined this label before we specified all this. So we're just going to have to bring it over. So let's highlight all of this, and then we'll copy it. We'll move to home page, and what we'll do is we'll just go right above the top like before, and we're going to paste that in there. And then Visual Studio is going to be like, all right, I got this. I see it. It's right up there. We could delete all of this code that we put in here as a reminder. And then before we go any farther, we're going to see that we have our label defined here. We have the content for this home page defined, and all the children are there. Everything looks pretty good. We're just going to build it right now. Building isn't sending to the emulator. Building is just having the program put everything together, and it'll flag any mistakes that you might have made. So we're going to go to build the solution. We're going to see how it's going. And it says that, all right, we succeeded. All right, cool. Now, we have to tell our application to use this new class, because right now it's still referring to this content variable that we had here. So what we're going to do is we are going to comment out this chunk of code that we migrated somewhere else. And right now, Visual Studio is saying that the content, you can't find the content to put in there. And what we're going to do is we are just going to tell Visual Studio that instead of putting everything together here, we're just going to tell it just use that class I made before. What we could do is we could do that by declaring our home page class. We'll name this one, we'll just call this home page content, and just say this is just a brand new version of a home page that we made. Visual Studio is going to say that, all right, there's something here. We're not really sure what it is, and we gotta make sure we tell we're gonna tell Visual Studio where to look for it. And Visual Studio's come a long way in just telling us what the potential fix for this might be. And just looking at it, it says we have to tell Visual Studio that we need to use in our project this pages namespace, and that lines up with our folder here. So since we put together a folder and we organize this class underneath there, we need to tell Visual Studio that, all right, you need to use this stuff. So we're going to have Visual Studio specify that we're using this mobile application project and all the classes in this page location. So I'm going to click on here. If we go up, we see it right up here, which lets this application know that, all right, there's stuff in here that we're using, and it's coming from our project, but this dot specifies that there's an area here that you need to make sure you reference, and that's our folder. We just need to make sure that we take the name of our new variable, and we'll copy this and put it in the navigation page. And paste that in there. Now, right now, Visual Studio isn't seeing any errors. It's recognizing that it's taken this customized content page that we put together before, and it's just building up one of those and then sending it as an argument to this navigation page that it needs to build. So real quick, we'll build this to make sure it's running, or to make sure it works. All right, we succeeded. So let's send it to the emulator. We'll close those down. All right. we'll see that our first label is defined here. Doesn't look like our title got carried over though. And let's check why. So we'll stop this from debugging. All right, that makes sense. So if we look at our homepage class, we didn't specify a title. In our earlier version, we had to specify that we had a title we wanted to give it. So let's just copy this title, My First Content Page. We'll go back to our class. And since title is already a member of this homepage class, we're just going to paste it right in. We're just going to have to add a semicolon. All right. So let's save it. We'll build it. All right, we succeeded. Now we'll send it to the emulator. All right, so things are looking pretty good. We have our title that we had before, and we have our label in here. And we did it, let's just stop debugging. We did all of this in this custom type of content page we put together. So now that we've migrated all that over there, we can delete all of this. And all we need in our app constructor is just this instance of our home page and putting together that navigation page. So congratulations on making your first customized content page class. In our next tutorial, we're going to be switching out the label for a button and exploring how to send actions and trigger events in Xamarin Forms. So until then, stay tuned to the website and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys next time.